Hey everyone, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are setting up for January 2026. I have my Cocoa Daisy kit here. This month is the Wisdom and Wonder I already went through and pulled my sticker sheets out of the plastic so we don't have to deal with all of that noise. If you're new here, I get the calendar sticker kit and the classic cousin sticker kit, and this year I'm going back to a Jibun Techo. I know I teased that I might be changing planners, but here we are. This is the A5 Jibun Techo Diary. I got it in this pretty blue color that I'm very much loving. I forgot to take this out of the plastic, so hopefully there's not too much noise. But let's dive in. This planner comes with a weekly, monthly, yearly schedule, pages for monthly projects, and then all of the fun pages at the beginning. So like a calendex, a year on one page, and then the year behind and the year ahead. Pages for budgeting, 100 wishes, just all of the typical pages. The fun pages is what they are. That a Jibun Techo typically has. Here are those monthly project pages. Some people use them for trackers. The monthly calendar spread, and then into the weeklies. I am so excited. And then in the back is the route maps, but also, let's see, I think time differences. Oh, that's this. I think this is the slim, that's why. Or the mini. I can't remember. Personal data. And then that is it. I have found that I don't use really the back pages at all. I don't need that extra space. If anything, I tip in or just use something like this to keep track of any of that extra stuff. Or I use my campus yearly, which I need to order another one of those. But let's take this piece off. If ever, this one does a really good job of translating the Japanese into English. However, if you ever need a translation of any of the instructions, Kokuyo has translated pages that you can also print out and place over. But I have been using this planner for enough years that I kind of know what each thing is, or I make it my own. So we are going to flip to January. I love it. Oh, look it. That is perfect. So, if you are new here, I use my planner functionally. I use the supplies from Cocoa Daisy just to embellish or enhance it to make it look pretty, but it has to work for me or I won't use it. And I really need it for being used. I really need it for functional purposes is probably a better way to say that. Anyways, I use my calendar kit, half of it on my calendar page, the other half of it on my weeklies. And then I use the classic cousin kit on this page as well. Now, the thing about the calendar sticker kit is that it is sized for a Hobonichi weeks and for you, or a daisy weeks if you use specifically Cocoa Daisy planners. What you can do is lift this up and lay it directly across the pages without trimming. Now, obviously, I was using a B6. Now I'm back in the A5. It is going to be quite the size difference. Previously thought I was just going to white out this box, which I still might, but these colors seem okay this time around, for this month anyways. Some months they clash with whatever the color palette is for that month, but for the most part they're okay. But if you're new, the regular life diary, it alternates colors there at the top, and then as well as in the weeklies. So all the January pages are going to have this slate blue color, and then they'll always coordinate, if that makes sense. So this month it looks okay. Other months, if it clashes, I pull out washi tape. I know some of you are newer followers and have found me from old videos when I was still using the planner add-on kit / creative kit from Cocoa Daisy. Those kits came with washi tape that coordinated with the collection, or were from the collection. I am not doing that right now, and I'm basically just shopping my stash of washi. I've already pulled out a ton that could potentially work for this month, given the colors that I saw right off the bat. Some of them still look like they may work, some of them not so much, but I'll use this in place of the washi that I used to get regularly. So with that, let's hop into my planning. Recently I started a new system where I kind of narrate as I go. Sometimes I also don't walk through every single thing because you can watch it, so I'll speed up sections, but I'm not doing any voiceovers right now because that's been preventing me from getting videos up on time. So hopefully you understand. If not, sorry, maybe mute me and put on some other music or something. But this is what's working for me to be able to get videos up in a timely fashion with everything going on in my life. So, like I said, let's hop in. I tend to follow a kind of formula of sorts. I always start in the same spot every time with this little banner. Oh, I forgot. So I am back in the A5 after being in B6 all last year, and I forgot the tips and tricks. So in 23, I was in the B6 Biz Jibun Techo. Then 24, I went to the A5. 25, I was back in the B6, and now 26, I'm going to be in the A5 again. This just is how things have ebbed and flowed based on how much space I needed from the year before or didn't need, and what was working. I felt a little too cramped last year with the supplies I had and what I needed to use my planner for. I have a little bit more going on right now, so we switched back to the bigger planner, and we're going to see how that works this year. The next step in my plan is laying down my stickers. Normally I center them, but because the A5 is wider, I'm going to try just putting them to the side. I don't mind the Japanese characters simply because there's space. It's not halfway covered. It's not looking sloppy. It kind of looks intentional, leaving the character there with also the English sticker next to it. I really like that it looks intentional. With the B6, it overlapped, so I covered both of them, but I may not need to do that here. New year, new techniques or ways of approaching things, which I'm here for. So let's see. Let's lay these down. Also, I don't typically reposition things a lot. Obviously, if it's super crooked, I'll redo it like I'm doing now. But for me, it's not about perfection. Again, I do it to add a little bit of visual interest. I do the decorating or the adding of the stickers for a little bit of visual interest. But I am not super particular about it being completely straight on. I know that other people are, and I apologize, but you're not going to get super particular here, because if I don't get it done, then if I have to spend time worrying about that, then it's not going to get done, and then it'll look, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me, unfortunately, to be finicky about it. As you can see right here, that side's crooked, but I'm going to add probably some kind of something fun right there to cover that part up. We'll do maybe this cluster of stars. Perfect. Okay, there, done. Okay, I'm going to go in now with my numbers. Usually, if I'm working in the B6, I come on here and I grab any of the holiday cards or squares, stickers, whichever. But I don't think I have to do that because, yeah, there's not going to be any overlap. These boxes are big enough to put the decorative box and the number before I would have to stagger them a little. Let's see. Oh, this is really sweet. It says, step into the new year with courage, curiosity, and a dash of sparkle. I like that. Okay. School starts back on the 5th, so we'll put start today there. And a little bit out of order, but that's okay. I use these banners to keep track of anything that isn't date specific or that I know is coming up this month or next month, but hasn't been assigned to a specific date. So I drop them down here, and then that's for the coming month. Let's see. Let's go ahead and get our numbers down, and then I'll fast forward you through this or cut it out because it's not really anything special, just putting the numbers down. Okay, so all of our numbers are down. Here's the basic of what it's going to look like before we start adding in any more dates and times. I'm just kind of perusing, seeing what kind of stickers I need coming up for these days. Oh, here's this one. What did I do with that other half sheet? What did I do? Oh, let's see. There it is. Okay. Ooh. You know, put that there. Or let's look at. In addition to Cocoa Daisy, I also use stickers from PMD Stickers. She is a small seller on Etsy, or maybe she's big. I don't know. She is a handmade seller on Etsy, and I order stickers from her periodically that are more functional. Every now and then I get some that are like decorative, but usually I need to order some more of these. I'll make a note of that. Usually they are functional or icons. I've done a couple samplers from her as well. This one and this one. This one. Let's see. Nope, that's the wrong day. There we go, right there. And right here. And right here, I believe. Okay. Oh, and okay, so I went through and I showed you how I was setting up for January, but I didn't show you all the things that I do to set up my planner for the new year in general. It kind of ebbs and flows depending on how I am feeling. So I have some of my old journals, older planners here. This one's last year. And I put in different things on the different pages. We have kind of a mood board, vibe board for the year, pen testing pages. I went into last year with not much of a plan for what I was doing, so I didn't fully set up the front, and it definitely made a difference for what how things ended up. I also use the tracker pages at the front for different things. Let's see. So like I use this year at a glance or yearly, I can't remember what exactly they call it in this one, the yearly schedule. And I put important birthdays and anniversaries on this page. In years past, see, there's another. I used the Japan map for ink testing. I also set up my weekly plan. So we're going to jump into that. I'm not going to set up the birthdays on camera just because it takes a little bit. And this is just as we go. So sometimes I keep track of the podcasts that I'm listening to. If I don't necessarily want to subscribe to them, I want to try them. Different TV shows I want to potentially watch. Trainings I want to do. So we're going to dive in and jump right to there. As you can see, I kind of have my gold foiled washi tape to mark where I keep the birthdays and anniversaries. I'll fill that, like I said, I'll fill that in later. I did create another kind of mood board situation. I printed this on my PM400 and on sticker paper, and I'm just going to lay it in here, kind of following the grid as a rough guide. I use this page that uses kind of an example of how you can use the planner. I've been using this planner for so long, I don't really need the example page. So that is there. It's just kind of like a mood board, images, vibes, things that I'm hoping for in the new year. I didn't pick a word, one word necessarily this year. In the past, I've done one little word. I did not do it last year, but I did do one of these last year. Also, Morgan Harper Nichols had one of those reels where you pause it and that's your mood or your feeling for the year. I did it twice. The first time I got flourishing and the second time I got steadiness, and I just included those two in there, or a rough version of what those two had said. So for flourishing, the part that I included was, for all that is being left behind, let there be room to thrive in new or beautiful new ways. And then for steadiness, sustain forward movement by pacing yourself. For pacing yourself isn't only about taking breaks or moving slowly. It is an opportunity to find rhythms that work in different phases and seasons of life. Both felt very applicable to what's going on in my life right now. And so I included those. This was based off of a template. Oh my gosh, a template in Canva. And I kept some of the ones that they had in here, like breathe and happiness and explore, and then I filled in these other two, and I also added the year. Like I said, just general kind of vibe, mood that I want my year to reflect, and being intentional with where I'm spending my energy. So there's that. Moving on, we have 3 years. Then the page I'm going to use for my birthdays, anniversaries, and stuff like that. I don't hardly ever use this page. If we're working towards something, I will put that on the money plan. I use my Japan map for testing different pins. And then next up is the weekly plan. My work schedule and study schedule and all that stuff has changed a little bit coming into the new year, but this obviously is a full year planner, and my weekly schedule is going to look a lot different in the summer and in the fall. So instead of using pen to write it in, I'm going to use some of these flags. I've used these in the past to help with forward planning. I just trimmed them to fit my needs. I was hoping to find this is what they look like regular. I trimmed them in half and then I cut them down to be to fit better into this space. You could also use Kikuyo makes their own sticky flags. I think I have some in here. They look like this. They're paper and they fit in that grid spot a lot. They're made to fit into that spot, but for some reason I don't have them right now. Anyways, but I'm just going to use these ones to kind of mark in my schedule coming up right now. Most of my day is pretty much the same. These ones out. Like I said, these are like repositionable flags that are like sticky notes. Normally they're easier to pull up, but and I color coded. Normally I don't color coordinate, but this time I did to match the lesson plans that I have to give. What is going on? I think I have too many. Okay, so this is loosely what our schedule looks like right now. Of course, it'll probably change in June and then again in August. So, but that's what it looks like for now. I know what these color codes mean for me, so I don't need to write on them. But that's where we are with that. Let's see. In the past, I have used these different pages for different lists, usually not what they are labeled as, like a recommendations list. I don't think I've used that way. The one I do use is I use movies and books. I also put in a page for podcasts. I think I do it on this page. books, podcasts, movies, and TV shows. Trying to think if there's I'll just do this. Okay. That's where we are at right now. Okay. Oh, and I probably, you know what I'm missing? I'm missing my little Kikuyo page flags that I bought. I'll have to look for more of those. These little guys right here. There's this one. They're specifically from Kikuyo. These little plastic ones. I'm gonna have to look and see where my set of them are. Okay. Let's see. So we have mood board, birthdays. I know what this one was. I put a list of easy meals up here. Or favorite meals, things that if I can't think about what to make for the week, they are here. Okay, I think that is it for major setup for January. Things are coming along, and I will see you next time. This is what we're looking at for the basic setup for January. I'm sure this will get filled in more as the month goes along, and if you were one of the ones that was interested in seeing how I use these pages, leave a comment down below if that's something that you're interested in seeing a recap in, like partway through the year. So, weekly plan. Okay. Anyways, that's where we are for right now. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.